Let's bring in our director of scouting, Craig Button. And Craig, Brendan Shanahan said the Leafs wanted Dubas back. Dubas indicated he would like to come back, but after Dubas held his season-ending newser, Shanahan wasn't so certain anymore. How did we get here in such a short period of time?
What I would say, Glenn, is it came down to uncertainty. First of all, everything was looking towards certainty. Kyle Dubas back, Brendan wanted him back. Then Monday, a pivotal day, where Brendan started to question, does Kyle want to come back? Is it right for him to come back? Brendan also talked about the pressures of the job, and one that Kyle talked about, but also acknowledged with Brendan's comments that said, everybody in this job has pressures, and it requires a full investment. And so now the questions began for Brendan Shanahan. And over the course of the days from Monday into Thursday, those questions were not alleviated for Brendan Shanahan. You have to understand, from Brendan's point of view, this is a franchise that has been very successful, but it hasn't been able to achieve its ultimate goal. And they're capable. But now, to understand where your general manager is, and is he the person that's going to be fully invested in this job, doing the things that are required, the hard decisions that are necessary for this team to take the next steps, Brendan couldn't come to a clear conclusion. And then he came to a conclusion that Kyle wasn't the person for this job. So I don't think there's any question that Kyle on Monday, planted the seed of doubt for Brendan Shanahan. And despite Brendan continuing forward, Thursday, when the contract proposal changed in a significant way, my words, not Brendan's, I think Brendan was blindsided. And I think that was the point where Brendan became very clear that they were moving in a different direction, one without Kyle Dubas as the general manager.
Yeah, Craig, and now you think about the timing ahead here with their own players, the draft, free agency coming up fairly quickly. Doesn't leave a lot of time for some of these big decisions to be made. Where does Brendan Shanahan go from here?
Well, listening to Brendan, he talked about being open-minded, and he is open-minded. He showed that with hiring Kyle Dubas. But he also said somebody with managerial experience has an advantage. I do not believe this job is for the uninitiated. I talked earlier just about where this team finds itself, a successful team that hasn't been able to find its success where they really want to go, and that's playoff success, ultimately winning a Stanley Cup. And the next person coming in is going to have to understand, number one, what are the steps necessary that need to be taken with respect to putting yourself in a better position to win in the playoffs, and what does that involve? And that's why I believe it's not for the uninitiated. I think it is for an experienced person. I think it has to be an experienced person. And if there was somebody that I think is an ideal candidate, I'm using the word ideal in a very strong way. I think it's George McPhee, the current president of the Vegas Golden Knights. He's well respected in the league. He knows what a big market requires, and he has had success in putting teams together. I think that he would be the ideal candidate to be the next general manager and affect the positive changes for the positive results they seek.
There are some names out there with impressive resumes and also some that are currently under contract like George McPhee, but it's the Maple Leafs. So, I guess anything could happen in the future. Thanks for this. Our director of scouting, Craig Button.